Well, Chris, it's an honor and a privilege to be on the phone with you. I wish we were in person, but in this kind of post-rural America, you and I both knew, being in New York for so long, that abortion was not going to go away. It was just going to change the battle lines, and in many ways, it was going to make it more difficult for pro-life people to express their convictions through pregnancy center work in New York State and other abortion hub states like California, Colorado, Illinois. Um, but I'm super honored and excited to be working with you. Chris Slattery, you are. I was talking to a good friend of yours, and you and I were on the phone together this earlier today, and he was saying how you're a pillar. I mean, you've been on the front lines, toe to toe with this abortion Goliath in the abortion capital of the world for over 30 years, and in many ways, you're a pioneer. You're a forward thinker. You're the guy that came up with mobile medical units and on the cutting edge of marketing to reach women seriously considering abortion before the abortionists do. And I'm just honored and that you would count CompassCare worthy of grabbing the torch from you. You've got some serious physical challenges that you're dealing with right now with two different stage 4 cancers, and you're still fighting the good fight. I mean, this is who you are, and I think it's because this is the heart of God. His heart is to protect the weak and the vulnerable, and you've been doing that in a sacrificial way for over 30 years. And I'm just I was talking to a mutual friend of ours offline a couple months ago, and he said, Chris Slattery, he's probably responsible for saving the lives of more people than all of us combined, all of us pregnancy resource center executives combined. I mean, that's who Chris Slattery is, and I just wanted to give you an opportunity to just talk in earshot of all the donors and prospective supporters and staff and volunteers in the pro-life community across the country. So thank you again. Thank you, Chris, for passing
Yeah.
the torch to CompassCare. There's so many different organizations that you could have, partnered with. Why would you choose? I mean, honestly, I'm just wondering, why would you choose CompassCare?
Well, CompassCare, through your leadership, has shown that you're fighters. You're willing to take on the abortion establishment. You're willing to innovate. You're willing to work with methods that will help us reach more mothers in the future, which are more difficult to reach today and are more expensive to reach today, which requires many more skill sets than the average pregnancy center has. There are some, but in different parts of the country. But you guys have been a great example in upstate New York. I can't even shine your shoes when it comes to innovation in the medical area. We've been doing ultrasound since 1986, actually. This Christmas is the 39th anniversary of my first event.
Wow, 39 years, and you've been doing ultrasounds since 1986. You're a pioneer.
I signed a lease 40 years ago and got open in a building that shared a wall with Planned Parenthood. I always wanted to target near abortion clinics, but the closest I could get in the East 20s of Manhattan, was next to the Planned Parenthood thrift shop. But I appreciate the compliments, but CompassCare is absolutely the best choice to run and take over EMC's operation. I am still going to consult. My wife is still on the board of directors. We were started as a mom and pop shop. We will have many characteristics of a mom and pop shop, but adding new services, more sophisticated medical services like STD testing, a more comprehensive care package for each client that comes in. And this is critical that we keep abortion alternatives going in America's abortion capital.
Oh, definitely, without a doubt. If you could, speak to everyone in the pro-life kind of movement, how would you encourage them in a post-Roe America?
Figure out how to save babies. And I would have said that 40 years ago, and I say it today. There's some states like ours in California, we're politically hopeless.
Politically hopeless.
Politically hopeless. We're both controlled by Democrat parties, operatives for over 50 years in our states. And it would take, hell will have to freeze over before a pro-life law is passed in New York State. So everything depends on the state you live in. But if you want to put your money where your mouth is, put it where you're going to have the biggest bang for your buck, where you're going to save the most children.
Yeah.
That's what it's always been about for me. If you're not saving children, you're wasting your time.
Yeah. I hope that people understand that in these pro kind of life states where they're regulating abortion, and rightly so, pro-life people still need to express their pro-life convictions somehow, and they should really put their resources, amass their resources where the battle is. And the battle, as we've said, the abortion industry has changed their business model after Roe versus Wade was reversed a year ago, June 24th. They went to a hub and spoke model. Now you got states like New York that are literally using taxpayer money to expand the infrastructure of the abortion industry, encouraging abortionists to come to New York State, encouraging women to come to New York State to get their abortions, and they're stockpiling chemical abortion to illegally ship these drugs across state lines to these pro-life states. So this is where the battle is. New York State is not just the abortion capital of the states. New York City is the abortion capital of the globe. I mean, you talk about locating next to Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood is the largest abortion business in the world. In America, they're responsible for 40% of all the abortions, and all the policies that emanate out of this country relative to how other funds are used in third world countries, say, for example, all hinge on these reproductive health ideas and policies. You've got to engage these types of abortion causing contraceptions or devices or abortion itself in order to get this money. They're holding these countries hostage to policies that are coming out of New York State. So you've been around the block many times. You're saying this is you're in year 40 in terms of saving women and babies from abortion, Chris. What was your greatest challenge as you passed the torch to CompassCare? What can we learn from that challenge?
Realizing that supporters for an initiative in a state like New York and New York City, I shouldn't get discouraged by the lack of local support. The hard part is realizing that there's a lot of apathy, and I realize the reason we, in part, are, uh, abortion is so popular is we don't have enough opponents of abortion. So realizing there are a lot of intelligent pro-lifers around the country that realize the logistics of warfare. I'm not talking about violent warfare, but when you're planning a strategy, look, when a country or a city is under attack, you don't go fight the battleground 500 miles away. You fight it on the front line, okay? You fight it where the battle rages the most. New York City this past year set up a call center, funded with $1 million, and at least half of that went to advertising abortion at taxpayer expense. Of course, coincidentally or not, at the same time we're flooded with migrants, 135, 150,000 in New York City alone. I mean, I pity Texas. They have their own problems, but we're the only state where they have some legal obligation to put people up. It's a nightmare. Anyway, so they prey on these women. Many of them are pregnant out of sex trafficking. Sex trafficking is going to be a huge source of abortion. And of all the states in the country, the highest concentration of moving from the south border to any other city is to New York City. Yeah. So the city and Planned Parenthood have designed a plan to offer at least 10,000 free walk-in abortion pills. And they offer them in colleges. They offer them in clinics. It's just, we have to compete with this. We can't throw up our hands and say, oh man, what a shame. No. What an opportunity.
What an opportunity.
What an opportunity
Yes.
to respond with intelligence.
Yes.
And savvy and with well-placed financial donations.
Yes.
Pro-lifers, I think, spend much too much of their funds, their disposable income, on politicians. And if it's not locally, they'll do so nationally. And they're not getting any results.
No. Politicians, no, government will not solve this problem. They won't. Medicine won't solve this problem. This is a God-sized problem, abortion, and it can only be solved by God-sized faith. Faith of a mustard seed, Jesus said, can move a mountain. And if you put together the people of God and focus them on protecting the weak and the vulnerable women and preborn boys and girls, and helping them have their babies, protecting them from the sex trafficking industry. And I've said this for I don't know how long. The sex trafficking industry is partnered with the abortion industry. I believe not just that abortion represents serial medical malpractice, specifically in terms of surgical abortion and chemical abortion, both violating the third provision of the Nuremberg Code, but I think you've got a serious problem when it comes to the abortion industry covering up for rapists and sex traffickers. We've seen that happen over and over again, and with incidences, but I think it's the norm. You have a whistleblower coming out I think it was a Planned Parenthood in New Mexico saying as much, with the immigrants coming over the border being trafficked, and now you've got all these immigrants being immigrating from Texas to New York once they get over the border, and now you've got this massive influx of taxpayer dollars promoting, paying for, and protecting the abortionists from criminal liability. Well, why would New York Governor Kathy Hochul do that if she didn't know that they were disobeying the law and they were they were re-victimizing women who are being trafficked? And quite frankly, I think abortion is a re-victimization too of where culture is colluding with government to destroy or enslave an entire category of person. That's preborn boys and girls. So I'm really grateful that you've gone before us. And you continue to fight alongside of us. And I think it's interesting that you named your organization Expectant Mother Care. So you're focusing on mothers who are need to be served and empowered to have their babies. Because not a sane woman alive actually wants to have an abortion. She just feels stuck, trapped, like she actually needs to have an abortion. And our job is to come alongside of her and give her all the ethical medical care and the comprehensive community support that she needs in order to have that baby. But you also added this word to the end of your name: frontline. Frontline. And that's exactly what's happening with what you do every day, what CompassCare does every day. Politicians are not on the front line. It's pro-life Christians sacrificially serving, in whatever capacity they can, women who are seriously considering abortion. That's the front line. And right now, because of Roe versus Wade, the front line battle has shifted to abortion hub states, and people need to start thinking differently about how they invest their pro-life resources. So we're engaging telecare across the state because chemical abortions are being distributed through telehealth abortionists to women's homes, like I said, illegally across state lines and in New York State. New York State has stockpiled these drugs. They want to deliver them. New York City has stockpiled these drugs. They want to give them away for free. And we've got to be able to reach these women before the abortionists do. Abortion is not medical care. And that's what we're trying to do together through telecare all across the state and with you, Chris. So we're really excited about the opportunities, as you put it. Some people just throw up their hands and say, "Oh, it's New York State. There's nothing we can do." No, it's New York State. Look at the opportunities. We have opportunities to see women and babies saved from a profiteering, mercenary abortion, billion-dollar abortion complex. And that's what you've been doing for 40 years, and that's what we hope to continue to do in New York City as long as we possibly can in this very hostile, rocky soil we call New York.
Well, I can't wait to start collaborating with you quickly, and supporters across the land, please realize the need is urgent to get this new initiative off the ground and to launch a strong and improved New York City pro-life alternative to abortion network.
Yes.
To great heights.
It is. And these are incredibly important times. Yeah, it's exciting to see how the people of God are coming together and putting the resources, amassing the resources where the battle actually is. So I'm grateful. I see this as a step in the right direction, and God confirming that with these kinds of resources. So really appreciate you, Chris. I can't thank you enough for the honor to walk alongside you in this way.
Well, it's my pleasure.
God bless. Chris Slattery died today, November 22nd at 4:15 this morning. Humanitarian, pro-life hero, founder of Expectant Mother Care, 40-year pro-life veteran, fought many battles, but the most important of which was over 43,000 babies have been saved from abortion because of his efforts through Expectant Mother Care, EMC Frontline. Our hearts go out to Eileen and his children as they grieve his loss. And it is my hope and my prayer that Christian pro-life people all across the country and globe will take up his cause. And really, it's not his cause. It's the cause of Jesus Christ. And it's our hope that we can double the number of lives saved in 2024 in honor of Chris Slattery and his life-saving efforts. But most importantly, in honor of Jesus Christ, who saved our souls from sin and death.